This is Fantology.
You may have heard of us.
All right, what's up, wives of Captain Lohar? This is Stephen, your host with Fantology Podcast. I have my lifelong friends Jake and Josh here, and we're talking about the season two finale of House of the Dragon, episode 8. We only got 8 episodes, not 10 this time. Might be a topic of conversation, but we're going to try to start by just talking about the episode, the season finale itself, in a nutshell, and then from there kind of expand and get some bigger season thoughts. So what did you guys think of season 8 as a season finale?
Episode 8 as the season finale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in general, but like,
Yeah,
I mean,
we're supposed to be talking about the episode as the episode,
yeah,
right?
okay.
Not
I
really
probably
in
I
reference.
probably
Yeah.
queued it up poorly. Yeah, what did you think of the episode?
As a standalone episode, I thought it was good to great, maybe not great. So as a standalone episode, good marks. So if we're talking about in terms of that, then I thought that the tension was built well. I was interested in all the storylines. I'm glad that Rhaenyra and Daemon finally saw each other. I'm glad that 7 episodes in Harrenhal finally built to at least something for Daemon. I'm glad that he can hopefully get out of there. I thought that his vision was cool, with pretty profound implications for the future, and that I want to theorize about, not, as someone who doesn't really know too much about the series. Yeah, I thought that, anyway, those were kind of the highlights.
A lot of characters had some action, had some, had some moments of payoff for build, especially Daemon. You mentioned, I agree. I think those things were all there.
Yeah, I really liked character development we get with specifically Daemon. I thought that vision was really cool, and I thought it was a good like capstone to his vision quest, in terms of his character arc intertwined with the visions. And you saw a little bit in the last episode about him indicating he would probably bend the knee to Rhaenyra again, and I think this was a cool capstone to that. I also really liked Helena in this episode.
Yeah.
Loved her. Like finally becoming at least revealing that she is a more active participant in everything. She's always come across as more passive and maybe not as aware and in control of things around her. In my mind, it didn't like confirm that she was pulling any strings as much as like, okay, she's at least at this point come to fully understand her powers, and what they mean. So that was really cool to see.
So Jake likes the visions, is what I'm getting.
I like the visions. Well, I like the visions, and like Helena, I feel like has always been like a favorite
in the
of mine.
background. Yeah,
she's always in the background, and like she's gone through such tragedy, and like I just felt like you care for her, and you like feel sorry for the situation she's in. And so it was cool to see her, like, up to this point, you would think she'd be easily pushed around and manipulated, and to see her just be like, no, like.
Yeah. Would you say she's the only, like, sympathetic, likable, green character in the show?
No, Alicent. I thought Alicent was a lot more likable this episode. But I did think that scene with her and Aegon, or Aemon, I'm sorry, Aemon, was really, really intense with
on the wall.
Them and
Alicent or Helena with Aemon?
Helena, yeah, as well as the scene with all 3 of them in it with when Alicent, that was just so good. It finally showed you the love that Alicent does have for her kids. Like I think she's tried to bury it behind like strategy and scheming and stuff, but I think she does really genuinely care about her kids, maybe except for Aemond right now, because he's kind of gone off the deep end a little bit. But I think she genuinely does care about Helena, and does again care about Aegon.
Not enough to save him, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, at least it obviously took a big emotional toll for her to.
I'm not faulting her for how she reacted to any aspect of that.
Maybe she's conniving with Larys, and and knew that he was already out of the city, so it's like really no big deal, and the whole thing was an act.
I
So
was
yeah,
thinking, sorry, just one last thing with that. I was thinking the whole time she was talking to Rhaenyra, I was like, last time Rhaenyra had a knife, didn't use it. What if Alicent has a knife and is going to sneak attack Rhaenyra? I was waiting for something like that to happen.
that would have been bold. Because I do want to really get into the whole drama surrounding that conversation. Sorry.
Josh totally dismissed you.
No, 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 because I want to.
I know. It was like, yeah, cool. Anyway.
No, because I want to spend a lot more time talking about that. I just wasn't quite ready to get off of the
Yeah, yeah,
off of
yeah.
Aemond and Helena.
Yeah, we introduced
Uh,
a few things, so yeah, keep
yeah.
on going.
Yeah.
So just going back to that real quick, and then I do want to go back because I have a lot of thoughts. Again, as somebody who hasn't read the series about what's going to happen next season because of that
Hmm.
conversation between Alicent and Rhaenyra. But I just thought it was really intense when she was like, that wouldn't change anything. That Aegon would be sitting on a wooden throne. That was really interesting to me.
Okay.
Like I
We'll have to get
um,
your thoughts on that. Maybe now. Do you have any idea
sure,
what
yeah. I
that
I was
could
kind of
be?
spitballing off Hayden. I was asking what like the old town, like the throne in Old Town. That's where they're from, right? High Tower, Old Town.
Well,
What's that?
Yeah, Old
Alicent's,
Town.
yeah,
Yeah,
their
they're
family's from Old Town, yeah.
yeah. So I was like, oh, is that throne made of wood? Thinking that he might just go back and sit on that throne. Um, so that was some of my theorizing. And it's just interesting that he would be king again, but not necessarily in the way that we would think he's going to be king.
I'll just tell you, based off your current knowledge of the show, you can come up with a better theory than that.
Okay, all right. I mean, Driftmark is kind of a wooden throne as well, sitting on a wooden throne.
The
Um,
throne at Driftmark is literally called the Driftwood Throne.
oh, the Driftwood throne. Okay,
Like that is
uh,
the name of the throne of
okay,
that. Yeah.
okay. All right. Sorry, I don't have all the names of all the thrones
No,
memorized.
I'm not trying to diss you. I'm just saying I feel like we can throw that out there and it's not really a spoiler because like that's out there.
Okay, okay. So he could go back and rule from Driftmark, but that's interesting because he doesn't really have a claim on that throne at all
I
through
mean,
No.
the claim he has is the claim he is claiming to have is a claim on all the thrones, right?
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the king
So
of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um anyway, okay, so that's interesting. Um and then just the fact that I don't know, just the visions and the fact that like her life wouldn't really change, like her life being forfeit wouldn't really change what was going to happen with Aemond and being being swallowed up in the gods. What was it?
The God's
God's
Eye.
the God's eye.
Hmm.
So I think Hayden was saying that was oh shoot, where was he saying that was? That was um
Outside of Harrenhal.
outside of
There,
Harrenhal, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a pretty famous lake, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so that's gonna be really interesting. I'm excited for the, looking back on when I do a rewatch after the whole series is over, that conversation.
Hmm.
I think there was some other at least water motifs going around in this episode as well. Just
Okay.
planes. Okay. I don't know. I don't want to say too much, but there were some water
Yeah.
things happening that could potentially be predicting future events as well. But
Okay. All right.
There's a lot of I mean, I think the really knowledgeable, astute uh, reader of the books and watcher of like everything, like knowing all the locations and whatnot, would probably be able to pick up on quite a bit. Like I feel like they threw
yeah.
quite a bit out there. And if you're a casual watcher, you're just gonna be like, oh, okay. And then when it happens, it'll be cool. But if you know at least, names of things and locations and have a sense of the world, like you could come up with some fairly accurate theories, I think, based off what was revealed here.
Yeah, I feel like a couple characters in games were strongly hinted at if you're able
Mm-hmm.
to connect all the pieces. Um,
I
yeah.
do. So you mentioned Damon's vision before, Jake. I feel like we need to spend some time there. certainly.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was very cool. I saw this pointed out, and I have to agree that it doesn't really make a whole lot of canonical sense that he was able to, like, he has no blood of the first men, right? He has no connection to the weirwood trees. Why was he able to see the vision through like the three-eyed raven and everything like that? That doesn't really work,
Yeah,
but I
I
guess we kind of
don't.
wave our hand at that.
I'm not an expert on how the magic works in Song of Ice and Fire. I've
So
kind of always taken it for granted, like it's just mystical. But go
so
ahead, Josh.
Hayden's theory, and he kind of just hinted that he was kind of like he didn't really want to spoil it for me, but I was just kind of guessing at things, and this seems like it was his theory, even like a common theory, was that Damon was the three-eyed raven before the three-eyed raven that Bran took over for.
That three-eyed
Um,
raven was a Targaryen bastard. He's the one that you saw in the vision, like the
No, he's saying
white-haired.
Damon was before him,
No, right, right. But okay. So Damon will become the
or
original
is
three-eyed raven,
currently.
or
Is
is
that
hmm.
I don't know. We'll have to talk to Hayden. Maybe we can get him on or get him to
okay?
talk about it on Discord or something. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, we'll
yeah.
try to do like a season
I
wrap. I don't know. I mean, I feel like you have to have the blood of the first men in order to access the weirwood
that
trees. Like that's the whole point of that religion. I feel like this kind of violates it.
I don't remember it being tied to blood, but that's not me. That's me literally just not knowing. So it could be. It could be. I mean, no one is a pure Targaryen, just like no one in like you have. We've seen so many bastards, so he could have some blood of the first men in him
Everyone's
from
got it at this point.
marriages. Yeah, like it could be. I mean, it's less likely that a Targaryen would than someone else in the
Mm.
Seven Kingdoms,
Like
but
Alice has done something to attach him to this magic. Ah, yeah.
well, I just mean like through marriage across time,
Oh yeah, no, I'm
generations.
just right, right. I'm just spitballing other things like
Or it
explanations
is
you could
just
have.
yeah,
Yeah.
or it is Alice's connection to the weirwood tree. And like he had been having visions the whole time, so maybe this was just another one of the ones
Mm,
caused by her, So I don't
yeah.
feel like this one didn't feel like it broke any more rules than the other one. Um, but I don't know. And maybe anyone could have a vision if they were like put in contact with the weirwood blood. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you the other thing I was thinking about is do you think if you had seen that vision as it was presented on the screen, would you be
Mhm.
able to interpret that flash of images into I must serve Rhaenyra?
Well, he sees Rhaenyra at the end of the vision, so yeah, I could see that, and I think there is a little bit of reading between the lines. Like we just see flashes of the three-eyed raven, the White Walkers, Daenerys, Rhaenyra, um, and like
Like
the
the
dragons, and like
a
the
dead dragon.
battle, the dead dragon, the comet,
Yeah.
him falling through or like drowning, and you know what I mean, like. In my mind, I think it was like he's seeing calamity and then he's seeing also glimpses of what hope there may be to fight against the calamity, and Rhaenyra is part of that. So
Yeah,
Okay. Fair
I
enough.
agree. I think it's totally enough to good enough to say, hey, he was spooked by the vision, realized that they need to be united, and having, breaking up whatever faction is left for the Targaryens would not be a good idea.
especially after his like this vision on its own, maybe not, but the culmination of all the visions
Yeah.
together,
Yeah. Okay.
I think it built towards that pretty well.
Okay.
Um,
So then he makes up with Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra is alerted by Sir Simon, who finally also takes action, a passive character who has finally decided to do something. He alerts her based off Sir Alfred, the guy
who
from a few episodes ago that Josh, you thought would not be long for this world. He does make it to Harrenhal. He tries to get Daemon, to strengthen further his claim as a king. And Sir Alfred says this, or Sir Simon says this is enough, brings in Rhaenyra, and lo and behold, Daemon kind of subverts expectations.
Yeah, I was still hoping for the Damon coming in with an army, to like
Yeah.
to back Rhaenyra up. I think it could have been
Hmm.
more dramatic, but this is fine. Um, the other
Yeah,
thing
no,
that
ultimately I mean, thought that he would support Rhaenyra by the end of the season, and he did.
yeah, yeah. I feel like that was pretty well, you know, foreshadowed though. Um, I did think so. I've been having like suspicious feelings about Alan. I get him mixed up. Um,
Adam.
Adam.
Adam is our dragon rider. Alan
Yeah,
is the
Adam.
ship. Yeah.
Yeah, I was having.
Alan's the one who had the Fresh Prince moment. Seen a lot
Yeah.
of Fresh Prince memes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dang, I haven't seen any of those memes, but that's hilarious. Like the big talking to Uncle Phil moment one.
Yeah, like why doesn't his dad love him?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Man, whenever that scene comes up, it makes me tear up every
Oh,
time.
oh
Like
yeah,
it's automatic waterworks.
it's amazingly well done.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I was still kind of like, oh man, is he gonna like just start attacking? Because he could have just devastated their entire everything right there if he would have just burnt down um Harrenhal.
If you would have just gone Dracarys on Harrenhal.
Y yeah, like
Mm.
it's a tinderbox, right? It could have just been set on fire, and then it would have killed
No,
Daemon.
Harrenhal
And
is just stone at this point, right?
It was like it has burned in the
it has
past.
burned. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it has.
I don't know that it's really like a tinderbox now, although they are like
I just
doing
feel
a
like
lot
there's always
of
fires at Harrenhal, and that was a while
yeah,
ago,
yeah.
Jake. That was like back probably like 15 years ago now, right? When Harwin Strong was killed.
Yeah, but it's never been rebuilt really.
Well,
Well,
they've
and
been showing it being
historically,
rebuilt the entire time.
wasn't it originally burned by
Aegon the
Jaehaer,
Conqueror,
Aegon the Conqueror? Yeah, yeah.
I
Anyway,
think.
whatever.
Yeah.
If he could have still like just flown his dragon
He
down, roasted everyone theoretically.
I think
Yeah.
Damon, a big risk of that, if your theory of Adam being a traitor is true, like I feel like a huge risk of Damon flying up and eating him,
Well, but they were
you
both
know?
standing right there.
Well, also like Cyrex, right? Rhaenyra's dragon was
Yeah.
perched above.
Yeah, without a rider though. I don't know. I'm just saying that like so he probably still would have defended it
It's
without a
it's
rider.
it's still a big risk for him.
It's a
That's
big
not like
risk. Yeah, for sure.
She's definitely trusting Adam way more than the other two
Yeah,
new dragon seeds, which is interesting. Yeah.
yeah. Which it seems like he has more of a, chip on his shoulder than the other two. Like the other two are kind of goofy. Like I was making the comparison to from like Ulm with Bronn from Game of Thrones, like just kind of sitting there being disrespectful to everyone, kind of funny.
Oh,
Um,
Ulf
yeah,
is
I think
Braun.
yeah, just kind of that feeling of like when what was he was going to be made master of coin or something, and
yeah.
then he was just making all
Hmm.
these jokes.
I I didn't like Ulf's characterization in this episode. I feel like it did not match his character arc.
He was
I,
really flippant
it
and
was
confident. Like we've seen him.
yeah,
It's just, I mean, the episode before he was so
shooken.
cowardly,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And
shaken.
now, I mean, he has the dragon now, so maybe it's all false bravado, but he's still in the room with the rulers of
Yeah, and
the whole
he's
world.
not on
And
his dragon right there in front of them, and he's
yeah,
surrounded by guardsmen. Like, I don't, I don't understand how, like, that doesn't feel like a real person to me would act that way. Like all those things in sequence, but,
I could see
um,
like maybe a joke or two, but the
I
like
don't
yeah, a
know.
joke or
I
two.
I,
the
I
amount of
disagree.
disrespect, he
I
was showing so
disagree.
much
Yeah,
disrespect though, man.
the
Yeah, I know.
disrespect is the issue I have with it.
Obviously, he was
The
disrespectful, but
disrespect.
The
he's
level of disrespect. Put some respect on the black name.
he's okay. As devil's advocates, that he's been, kind of just a tavern guy his whole life. Um, doesn't really know the manners, and then he got like up.
Doesn't know the manners.
He doesn't know the manners. He doesn't know
Dude, he
how to
doesn't know
act.
you're not supposed to put your feet on the table.
He doesn't know not to like talk back to the queen.
No, but now he's one of the most useful. Like he knows the queen can't get him killed because he knows how valuable he is to her. He knows that she just incinerated any other potential dragon riders.
Not all of them. Some got away.
85% of them, and none
Do you
of them are
think
going to go back and try and bond Silverwing or like.
do you think Rhaenyra would rather have a rogue dragon rider or a riderless dragon?
That's true, but I think that
Like,
he's not painting himself as someone that's going to go rogue. He's just painting himself as someone who is cocky and arrogant and like, gonna feels like he's entitled to the trappings of his newfound station.
I just feel like the character he was before taming the dragon
We didn't really
was
know him as a character though.
someone full of hot air, very like overly boastful, and then you see him like lose all that boastfulness and have to face reality, and he was a coward and kind of a goofy coward, and then now we're seeing him be this like disrespectful jerk. It just doesn't they don't add up.
Okay, all right,
I
fair
feel
enough.
like he could get to that character, but it might make more sense if he was that character at the beginning of season 3, after
Yeah.
like a couple weeks had passed at least.
Yeah, or like getting some like some actual like battles in or something. I just
Yeah.
don't understand, like, I don't know. It's just insane to me, especially with like Hugh Hammer over there. Like, come on, dude,
Yeah.
shape up. But
Hugh's cool. I'm liking Hugh. I think it'll be really interesting
yeah,
to see what they do with him.
that was probably my least favorite part of the episode. But
Disrespect.
the disrespect.
Can we talk about what I think is going to go down in the next season based on Rhaenyra and Alicent's conversation, which again, I get like the
Yeah.
criticism of like like how can Alicent just show up there and just like magically get past all the guards, and like I get that you have to like suspend some disbelief and that there's
Yeah.
like some pretty
Yeah.
big plot holes and yada yada yada. I don't really care about all that. You can
It makes
find,
for some good character moments though.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, rule of cool in this situation. You do want to see these characters interact. They're the
Yeah,
stars of the
yeah.
show. Like, you could go through like 3 chapters in the book of her sneaking around and like
There were
making it,
secret tunnels, it's
yeah,
fine.
making it super
Yeah.
suspenseful and like getting into the like, you can make a whole episode of her doing that and
Yeah.
she would get to the same place.
She got Master Orwell, yeah, the Grand Maester to
Yeah.
set it up for her. So that guy's smart and super capable. We trust that he's going to get it done.
That's true. And the fact that Rhaenyra did it, it's like, okay, she'd probably be open to this kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
She
A
knew
shot in
that
the dark.
she knew that Rhaenyra wasn't going to kill her, or she knew that if Rhaenyra was going to kill her, then it was game over for her anyway. Like, because
Yeah.
right now it's obvious that Rhaenyra has the upper hand, and if Rhaenyra wanted to, she could probably, go in and wreck them all. Okay, but anyway, so right now, as I understand them leaving as I understand the conversation was left, Alicent was going to go back. She was going to leave instructions for Rhaenyra to come in and be let in and basically usurp or take back the throne and behead Aegon and stop the war, prevent the war.
She said in 3 days, Aemond will be headed to Harrenhal. So
Right.
you've got an easy path in.
Right, exactly. So my guess now is that, so first of all, Aegon's going to be gone. So she's going to feel betrayed no matter what, because now Aegon's gone. I don't know if we knew that was going to happen or not. Right. Like, I don't know if, I think it's left kind of ambiguous on if she knew that. It didn't seem like that. It seemed like she genuinely thought that she was sacrificing her son during the conversation.
It seemed like Larys was acting on his own by getting Aegon out of there.
Right. Definitely did. Otto. So what I think is going to happen. So we saw that glimpse of Otto. What I interpreted as Otto being
that's
smuggled.
a big mystery.
So I thought that was Otto being smuggled in to King's Landing or across the blockade, because they have to get across the blockade and then they have to get into King's Landing, right?
Otto shouldn't need to cross the blockade because he left to go to Highgarden, I believe, and we haven't seen him since. I think they thought he was at Old Town with Darren. I may be getting that wrong, but anyway, Aemond said, send for Otto. They assumed that he was sendable,
right?
And
so either
to me, it looked like he was almost in a jail cell or something, right?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, you didn't know what it was, right? Like, but
so Which is interesting to me. Like I had assumed up to that point that yeah, he had just gone back to Old Town. But maybe he had been locked away in the tower the whole time, or in King's Landing the whole time, or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Or he was
Um,
captured en route by
Oh,
someone.
maybe captured by one of the blacks.
I mean, they're not really in that part of Westeros right now. Like they don't have any forces out there in what do they
Yeah,
call that area?
yeah, they had no ground troops until
Yeah,
Harrenhal. So
right.
yeah.
So he really
Anyways,
shouldn't have. I mean, maybe he was like captured by common brigands. Yeah.
again, I think he's being smuggled in. That's
Okay.
my
Okay.
that's
So
my
smuggled
yeah,
into
theory.
King's Landing.
let's keep
Yeah.
on going with your theory. Yeah.
Anyway, so I think he's gonna get in. He's gonna talk Damon out of pursuing his plan. And then
He's gonna Damon.
Amen.
sorry, Aemond. He's gonna
Oh, okay.
sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Okay, okay.
So he's gonna talk Aemond out of pursuing his plan. And so Rhaenyra is basically
Battle
gonna
King's
fly into
Landing.
what she thinks is a trap. She's gonna think that she's gonna go in, Aemond is gonna be gone, and
Mm.
she's gonna get there. Aemond is still there. Aegon is gone, and she
I
feels
like
super
this.
betrayed by
Right.
Alicent.
I like
Allison.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if this happens, a smart Rhaenyra would, regardless of how the conversation with Alicent went, go not alone, like go with as much force as she can, at least in terms of dragon power. So that way, if something like this were to happen, she'd be
Yeah.
able to make a retreat if she had to, you know?
Or at least send a scout in to see, hey, is like
Yeah,
maybe
what's the
lure
Yeah.
situation like?
Maybe
try and
scout to see
spring
if
a
a
trap.
giant green dragon is flying north.
Yeah, right. But let's face it, Rhaenyra is not the sharpest tool in the tool shed. She's
I mean,
when it
I
comes
wouldn't
to
say she's not like incapable. I would say she's more just
She's
like
pretty capable.
inexperienced.
she
Yeah.
is, but she's already flown, I guess Rhaenys knew that she was flying into a trap, but she still gambled away one of her most powerful pieces, right? On like
Something had to be done though with Rook's Rest. Like
yeah,
it was like a play. She didn't have the upper hand at all. She had the worst hand, but she had to do something. And
that's true.
so
She had to do something.
it
Yeah.
wasn't a blunder like Aegon's blunder during
But
Rook's Rest.
okay,
Yeah.
but it
It's like
it was a
it's
series of
like
blunders.
you're playing Magic, your opponent has this giant creature that's
Yeah,
declared as an attacker, and
yeah,
you've got something good, but you've got to use it as a chump blocker because
yeah.
what else can you do?
But bottom
Yeah.
line, but her errors leading up
Josh
to that
doesn't
point.
care.
No, I don't
Josh,
get it. I'm more
Josh's
thinking about
second dismissal.
okay, I'm more saying that there's a series of blunders. Her
She didn't
kind of
have a
burning
series of blunders.
yeah, her burning a bridge with Damon, that was a blunder. Like she let Damon go, like or I guess didn't let
I
him go,
feel like
but
that's
Damon
on
had to
him, not
leave.
on her.
Yeah, she had to get rid of Damon at that time. He was too much of a wild card. It's unfortunate it happened, but that wasn't a blunder. That was the best course of action she could have taken with Damon at the time.
okay, fair enough. I just feel like leading up, she could have a
Josh is
better
all
strategist.
Allison and not Rhaenyra.
Yeah, yeah. Josh,
Sorry
come
guys,
That's what
I'm
that's
dealing
what I'm
with a
getting.
pretty bad cough. I can't
come to
really
Utah. Come to Utah. We'll play some magic. You'll get what we're saying with our magic
that's
analogy,
true.
and
I just need
you'll be
to
on Rhaenyra's side. Play one of our dragon decks. It'll be great.
Good times. Here's my issue with Rhaenyra's character. I guess we can kind of transition to more like season-long things. One, I feel like even in this ending of the season, she is just so morally good that it's just kind of hard to not cheer for her. And I feel like her
Yeah,
character needs to be a little more gray. The
yeah,
second thing is part of the reason they're making her, or I don't know the reason, the part of the way that they're making her morally good is she's opposed to fighting like any wars at all because people will die, but she's the only character that this seems like a sin to commit to a war because innocents might die. And like innocent, I mean, these are people that are attacking your forces. I wouldn't say they're entirely innocent. Like, yes, there will be innocent casualties for sure, and that is something to be avoided. But no other leader cares at all, and it's not meant as a it doesn't seem like that makes them a bad person. She's the only one that seems like a bad person if she were to commit to a course of action where other people could die. That just seems kind
I
of weird to me that they're painting her into this corner.
I agree that it would be more interesting if she were uh less morally good. Like we have Allison has this redeeming arc almost in this season. Like they do a lot of work to make her like she realizes I
Mm-hmm.
loved her arc of realizing I've just been a tool my whole life and I finally realized that and I'm sorry for like what I've done while thinking I'd be a
Yeah.
tool. Like that was
Yeah.
really well done.
I think it was
Um
well done, and to support Josh's love of Allison, like
yeah.
by the end of the season, pretty strong character.
Whereas Rhaenyra, they do some things to make her more morally gray, but I don't think she's anywhere near 50, you know? But to counter your point, that she is the one who like recommends attacking innocents in this episode in Old Town and I can't remember where else
But like in
to
doing
destroy
that,
their
it seems
supply
like
lines.
she is like intentionally sacrificing her virtue almost by saying
Yeah,
it,
because everyone,
like knowingly committing
yeah,
to this terrible sin that everyone else is has no problem with.
I think part of it is I think they did that to show the dichotomy of the two like forces wanting to rule. Like she wants to rule because like it is her birthright and for like the whole Song of Ice and Fire. And she has like she's really following her father's legacy of you know thinking about the small folk and that kind of stuff. Whereas the Greens are more like they want power. So that's why they are pushing for power and let like they don't really care about the small folk being harmed. And so I think they tried to really push that uh contrast there. Um, but yeah, it would be more interesting to see her go a little darker, especially you have that like the beginning of the season, like I don't know, like going off of season one, I think it would have been a little more interesting.
And
But
also in the previous episode, she had literally just sacrificed innocence to get more dragon riders. I feel like they could have kind of built off that instead of in this episode. Once again, she is reluctant to.
she's not really reluctant in this episode though. Like it was her idea,
I feel like it's
right?
still something that she has to deal with that other people don't.
It still is, but like I didn't feel like she was reluctant in this one. I think she was finally like, okay, let's do this. Like we have enough firepower, we have to hit back. But everyone on her council was pretty much like
Mm.
no to that.
I mean, it also
Like,
was Corliss's recommendation. We didn't really talk about him much, but he
yeah,
told her, like, now's the time. Let's move it.
yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Josh? What would you have liked more from Rhaenyra? Would you like her to just have looked like Alicent for you?
Okay. I do agree that like that they could have both gone a little bit darker. I feel like they both were kind of starting to get into the mud, especially after the first episode of the season, first two episodes of the season, I guess. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened in them. But yeah,
Mhm.
I definitely think that they they did start to get a lot more noble throughout the season, both of them.
Which I liked
And
with Alicent's arc. I think it
yeah,
made sense because she
that's
was
true.
such a horrible person going into the season and was clearly the worst and just made no sense for anyone to like her. So I really like that they they pulled that off.
Nice.
Okay. All right. Ignoring the snark.
Like they took
I
Kristen Cole and they really needed to
Yeah,
make us hate him. So what do? He fraternizes with Alicent. Boom.
exactly. And he had kind of not a redemption arc, but you felt for him a lot more
He has
towards the
an
end of this
Yeah.
episode
interesting
too.
end to the season where he's super morose and like
Yeah,
we're all screwed. What chance do men
yeah,
have in this world?
yeah.
Yeah, that was really neat. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think that I'm unsure about now I just feel like there's no like righteous indignation that I have going into next season because it just seems like just everything's gonna everything's gonna be bad, and it's not because of really the decisions of the two main characters. it's because of the decisions of those around them, which that is in keeping with a lot of the, Game of Thrones storytelling. But
Yeah.
Hmm.
I do feel like the agency of them by the ending of this episode, the agency of both Rhaenyra and Alicent, has kind of been a little bit like removed in some ways. And so that's going to be interesting going into season 3. But
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I'm sure there's still a lot of really good setup, but I don't know. I kind of still want to talk about this episode as a season finale because I do have some thoughts about that.
Okay. Let me just hit
Yeah.
on a few more points kind of
Okay.
quickly and we can get
Oh
to
yeah,
that.
for sure.
So we get after all these flashes of Rhaena's little journey hike through the wildlands, she meets up with Sheep Stiller and dramatic fade to black. We'll see what happens there. This has been, I don't know. I honestly, I felt like this was, you would get 5 seconds of this plot line at times throughout episodes. And this went on for at least 2 episodes, maybe three. I just kind of thought it was an odd thing to just throw in there with everything else. Like, oh, okay, now we have Reyna. She's still journeying. Okay, back to whatever. I don't know. It was just presented in kind of a strange way.
Yeah, I wonder like what was the thought process behind not just having that arc finish at the same time as the other dragon seeds,
Too many
you know?
dragons claimed in one episode. I don't know.
Yeah. Um, yeah, yeah, also going back to the Rhaenyra thing, I do wonder, could we have the nice Daemon tension and conflict this season if Rhaenyra was more morally gray, you know? I guess we still could have had a division, but most of the division was based on him being a wild card, doing
Mm,
things that she thought were atrocious rather than they would have had to focus more on him just being a wild card in terms of loyalty.
yeah.
But yeah.
We didn't talk much about Thailand and Essos with Captain Lohar other than our opening joke. How much did you guys like this part?
It was pretty
Yeah.
cringy, just in
Yeah.
terms of
Okay.
it was just
I thought
yeah.
so too, and
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna be made fun of for saying that because I
I
feel
mean,
like the internet loved it.
i-
It
if
was
it
like too
was
silly.
okay, I will say if there if it was in like a different episode or like it just
Yeah.
didn't belong in a season finale. It just and that's part of the critique of the episode as a whole is like I think it's a fine part of the story, and I always like going and seeing new lands and new cultures and stuff. So it
Mm.
wasn't quote unquote too silly for me. It just in this episode, a season finale, are we really going to start this new like kind of side story? Like if this is going to be important for next season, just start the story next season or start it earlier this season. Like there's no reason to cram this kind of side story into the season finale, I thought.
I think it went on a little too long, and I thought the humor of it was like kind of cheesy. But
Yeah. I mean
Yeah.
it felt
anything that isn't Seinfeld humor or Larry David humor is cheesy for you. So, but
no, I like New Girl, I like The Office. I like
There
Veep.
are other
I
acceptable
like
humors.
Community. There's a Game of Thrones has some pretty good humorous moments in it in
it
general.
does.
And by Game of Thrones I mean the books, the Game of Thrones TV show and House of Dragon. I just felt like I don't know. It just felt kind of out of nowhere. Kind of like uh Ulf's character in this episode too. I feel like everything was just building so much. It was like, I don't know.
Yeah. And again, that
And it
as
went
a
on too
stand
long.
yeah, as a stand yeah, that I definitely think it went on too long. It was like especially when there are other storylines that I thought could have been built out more in this episode. Like I was much more invested in like we were just talking about, like the sheep stealer, like
Yeah.
there's no reason why it couldn't have, you know,
Mm,
been getting that dragon. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
Go
as a
ahead.
season finale, I liked all the build and the things that they're like building towards for season 3. I was disappointed that we didn't get any huge payoff in this
Exactly.
episode.
Yeah. In
Like
a
the
big
mid
way.
the
Yeah.
mid-season finale had way more action than
Yeah.
this one, and I think it would have been nicer if we had like maybe a cool action sequence of Sheep Stealer being tamed or some sort
But
of
that, I mean,
like
that wouldn't have been payoff. That would have been this side plot is wrapped up.
it'd be some payoff. Like it
But
wouldn't be
yeah, and they could have focused on that a little bit more. They could have had her
yeah,
fail to, they could have done a little bit more interesting,
just
had her try and tame him once, or I don't know, done a little bit more payoff or
just
building
some
for
sort
that.
of action and yeah, like something to get things going.
Yeah.
The payoff was Damon's plot line in the vision
And Allison's,
that,
I think.
yeah, yeah, and Rhaenyra and also the payoff.
Yeah,
I think if you asked Ryan Condal, the showrunner, right, like what was the
right,
payoff, he would
right.
say it was the characters, Alicent and Rhaenyra having their second meeting, seeing where both of their arcs went, and Damon's whole arc. Like that was the payoff. It wasn't a big battle. It was the character stuff.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it'd be nice to have character payoff and action payoff
I
both
agree,
in an
but I think
episode
I'm just saying
at the finale.
I think that's what they were going for. But I think it would. There's no reason you
Yeah,
can't do it with action.
And
because
even some plot payoff. Like I get that there's character payoff, but no real big plot things happen. Besides the only
Damon
real,
and Rhaenyra back together.
yeah, but again, that's I guess like the lines blur between what's character and what's plot, but that feels like much more of a character change than like a big plot altering thing. You know what I
You're
mean? It
kind of
was like the
talking about plot as far as pieces moving on the
yeah, that like
battlefield.
the character made that decision. It wasn't like oh, this is change like the plot has progressed in significant ways. It was a character made a decision. You know what I mean? Like I get that they're kind of the same thing and
Yeah, no, it makes
characters
sense.
drive plot, but it felt more of like a character payoff than a plot payoff.
Yeah,
I mean that
yeah,
ending sequence, which was awesome, probably my favorite part of the episode. The music for it and the flashes to
Yeah.
everyone and just the excitement of everything.
yeah.
The fact that it ended on that was awesome, but also really deflating because now we've got to wait a year and a half, 2 years to see what happens with all the pieces that are finally in motion. I think this would have been great as episode 7
Yeah.
and episode
Or
8. We see some of these things, pan out.
or imagine like comparing it to the season finale of season one, where it's a lot of build and then ends in that amazing action sequence that leaves almost like builds more and like more of a cliffhanger going into the next one. So we could have had all of that like wrap up, like that ending sequence of episode 8, and then just another scene after that that is like action that continues one of those things,
Yeah.
Mm.
like maybe like a battle with the Harrenhal forces or some dragons fighting or I'm
Something.
giving very generic battle stuff that you see in Game of Thrones. But I mean just I think again, this season I thought was really well done. I don't know. I think having not seen season one since it came out, I think I like season one more just because it was like the start of everything and I had some pretty cool scenes. I think as a finale though, season one had a better finale.
Yeah. I also think that I think I like season one more as well. I think that it seems like they were planning on having a 10 episode season and then they needed to cut it when they needed to cut it down to 8 episodes. Like
Hmm.
this is kind of how it ended. It felt like there could have been 2 more episodes this season.
Yeah, I wonder if something like that happened,
You know,
like because of HBO or because of the strikes that were still in place towards the beginning of when they wanted to start filming. Like, did that eat up a lot of money? And I don't know. There's probably some behind
Or
the scenes
time.
stuff. Yeah,
Maybe
and
just time is yeah.
the other thing, kind of a meta conversation about it too, is it wouldn't be that big of a deal if we were back in the days of having one like a year
A
between
year.
seasons.
hmm
Yeah.
It wouldn't be nearly as deflating, I think was a good word for it. Because it's like, okay, a year's not too bad. But when we're expecting to wait like 2.5 years until the next season, it's like, yeah, it's a little bit disappointing that there's not that we didn't get something a little bit more, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
We're definitely now in the realm of we have to sacrifice quantity for quality. That's just where
Yeah,
TV is at, and the quality is amazing. But
I
now
yeah,
we're
we
whining about the
but
quantity.
we could be looking at the 2028 presidential news cycle by the time the next season airs.
No, come on, it's
no
not going to be that long.
It could be 3 years.
2 years.
It's no, it's not going to. I mean, who knows? There could be strikes. There could be whatever. That's obviously it just recently happened. Stuff like that is on the table, but no, it's not going to. I mean, I don't think that should be our expectation.
Josh, don't you put that evil out there. Come on,
Come on,
man.
yeah, don't manifest that,
Come
Josh.
on. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Uh, I do think the quality is a good trade for the quantity. Um, Especially Emily and I, mostly Emily, but every once in a while I will join her, have been watching The Rookie. And those are like 20-hour-long episodes a season, so many seasons, and it's just like
Okay, here. What about
nowhere
in between?
near the quality
In
of
between, okay, in
Game of
between,
Thrones or House of Dragon.
I've been watching Dexter and I'm on season 3, and the
Haven't
quality
seen it.
is like it's obviously much lower budget. It's like much lower budget, but the pacing of each season is really good. And there's a lot of seasons, and they do a good job, in my opinion, of like I don't know if the show falls off. I've heard it gets a little bit worse towards the end, but like it
But
does
you're
a good
enjoying
job.
that more than House of the
No,
Dragon.
I don't think I'd say more, but it seems
Hmm.
like they said they have like a little bit, it seems like they found a good balance between, I think it's 10 or 12 episodes a season. I think they're coming out every year. And like I'm not saying that House of the Dragon needs to do that, but I just think that like it just it just leaves a little bit of a deflating feeling knowing that we're gonna have to wait a couple of years
Yeah,
to
when you don't
continue the
stick the
story.
landing super
Yeah,
well. Yeah.
yeah.
I
Yeah, like
agree, but I don't think it's fair to compare The Rookie or Dexter to House of the Dragon.
It's not.
oh,
Just
I
the
just meant
scale of
But
the
yeah.
shows are just massively
but what
different.
about the original seasons of Game of Thrones? They were coming out every year. Like seasons 1 through 5 came out like every year.
That
Yeah,
is true.
but the production quality went up with Game of Thrones. Like they were doing more
Yeah,
CGI more
but I think
often.
I would rather have. I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like there can be a middle ground between like those were the best seasons of Game of Thrones though. Yeah, the production quality went up, but did it really go up? The writing didn't go up. The
The writing's not production quality.
No, but like we were still getting Starbucks cups and episodes. Like I don't
And
know.
what? Okay.
I'm
One
just saying.
episode in this season that they for sure didn't really care about, but I brought up the Rookie comparison just saying like that used to be the standard for television, and I'm glad House of the Dragon is not
Yeah,
following that
I
model
think
in terms of quantity over quality.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree. If we had to pick quantity, I agree that we have quality over quantity. That being said, it's still hard, and I feel like there is kind of a
Yeah,
better balance to be found than waiting, years and years and years.
I don't know. It would pain me if any like if someone consciously decided, okay, we're gonna get House of the Dragon season 3 out faster, but there will be a dip in quality. If someone
That's
gave
true.
me that
Okay,
choice, I would be like, no, 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 no.
but that's true. But I feel like the constraints they build creativity in some ways. You know what I mean? I feel like when you have like unlimited time to do that, I feel
Yeah.
like the creativity can kind of take a decrease. It's like one of
Yeah.
those
I
weird,
wonder I wonder what really
Uh,
is the cause for the slowdown, but I don't know
my
the supply chain in the
disappointment is
background.
so they announced that they were officially doing 4 seasons, and
Yeah.
season three will not start production until early 2025. I wish that these networks would be a little more on top of it as far as planning out. I mean,
Yeah.
they could have started writing season three already. They could have started prepping. Like they have to take these gaps because they're not sure what the schedule is going to be because of renewals and all these other reasons that I have no idea what they actually are. But to me, as a fan that's not really in the know,
Yeah.
it just seems like they could have already written it. Like, I mean, I know
I
writing
feel
takes time, but they haven't started yet. Like, what's the reason for not starting?
it could be well, I mean yeah, I don't know the exact reason for Game of Thrones, but like it could be that their writers, after doing this, were contracted to do other work because they didn't book them out
Yeah, yeah.
years in advance, like you said. which you'd think like if you ordered a certain number of seasons, like hire a project manager to just, streamline it all to get like to be the most efficient as possible. You think it'd be in their best interest, but it might just be the constraints of the industry of not enough people. And so I don't
It
know.
might be. I'm sure there's also a lot of corporate inefficiencies and egos and all kinds of things that I could rant
Yeah.
about. That
And they're always looking for
yeah,
short-term profitability over the long
yeah,
term.
yeah.
So yeah, like I think Wheel of Time, like season 3 is greenlit, but season 4 hasn't been yet. And it's just crazy to me. It's like, don't you like, I don't know. It kills me with when you have a large story to tell and
Yeah,
you're
like you're
letting,
committing to this, you've got to commit to it
yeah,
or don't do it at all.
it's like that show Outer Range that I really like on Amazon Prime. Love season 1. Season 2 was pretty much just as good. And it's like obviously a slow pacing show, and they're building this mystery. They let them finish season 2 on a cliffhanger, and then they're like, "Oh no, we're not renewing it." It's like, well,
Yeah.
why'd you even let them do that?
Yeah, it's really, but
But
with House of the Dragon, it's even more mind-boggling to me. Like
yeah,
season
because
one
it's
was a
huge.
huge, it's a huge
Yeah,
success. It's freaking Game of Thrones, the biggest TV show that ever was, and
yeah,
it's going to be successful unless they totally screw it up. So greenlight the whole thing through 4 seasons, plan it all out. Let's really get serious about it, roll it out, make it the flagship
yeah.
thing for your network. Like I feel like it's a pretty safe bet for HBO. Why
Is it
not just
D&D's
like,
fault?
yeah, it's freaking
Hear, hear,
D&D, man. They're
hear
still,
me out. This is
yeah, they
the
probably
D&D's
were
fault
like,
theory.
they were probably supposed to come in and they backed out of the last minute for something and
No,
they
I'm not
uh
saying that. I'm saying
okay,
after the
conspiracy
finale
theory.
After the finale Game of Thrones, they're like, okay, we're gonna order 1 season of House of the Dragon because maybe people don't want any more Game of Thrones because of like the reception season 8 had of Game of Thrones, So like let's start with 1 season. But then after the success of 1 season, you'd be like, okay, now order more, But maybe they're like, we're not going to contract people out at all. Otherwise, you end up with the D&D situation of people finishing out their contracted years or seasons, but not caring about it.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
maybe that's
So
why.
dangle it in front of them, make them really work for it.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
continuation. Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
D&D
I,
ruined it.
I completely agree with you, Stephen. I think that look, if you're looking at viewership numbers, it's so much easier to convince somebody to come back after a year of seeing something. Like if you were to book it up, if they were already starting production for season 3 and had, and we're going to be able to pump it out maybe winter of next year, like Christmas
Yeah,
of
a year
next
and a
year.
half.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know why, like they're already, like say it is 2 years from now, but we're having a 6 month gap between productions. Like that's totally then if even moving it up that 6 months, I just think that you get people tuning in again. I just realized I'm pretty sure my brother, not Ben, I have another brother. I'm pretty sure that he watched season 1 and liked it, but I haven't even talked to him. He hasn't brought it up to me. I know to talk to him about it, but like
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure that he isn't even aware that season 2 came out because he's not like a huge fan. Like I think he binged it all in like a weekend after I told him it was really good. And
Uh-huh.
then like you just miss that subset of people that like aren't super fans that maybe don't go into their HBO account a lot and like aren't plugged into what's going on. But I feel like if it's just a year later, then they're going to stay more invested than if it's multiple years later.
Mm.
And so it just seems like such a missed opportunity to not be kind of continually developing it and not rushing it, but like you said, planning on making multiple seasons, especially after that season 1 was a banger.
It's
You know,
D&D's fault.
it's dandy, whatever the case,
That's my
but
So
it's
the interesting, I guess,
every network does it. Yeah.
if we want to play devil's advocate, so Amazon has basically, Jeff Bezos gave him a blank check to make Rings of Power,
Rings of Power.
from my understanding.
And that took
They've
2 years.
pretty sure they've already like said we're going to make as many seasons as is appropriate. Viewer numbers be damned. We're just making this thing, and yet we're still waiting.
2 years.
And I feel like
Yeah.
that's
Will
a pretty comparable property to House
Yeah.
of the Dragon.
It's not just House of the Dragon. It's kind of standard. I mean, Wheel of Time as well has been 2 years.
But that's another one
Um,
where the
yeah, that
continuation
one's
is not quite as guaranteed. But I'm
right.
saying with Rings of Power, that's not even my main issue with like, let's guarantee this thing, let's move it along. Like
Yeah.
they are doing that and it's still a long time.
I think there must be some constraints we're not seeing. Because I mean, The
Yeah.
Last of Us, House of the Dragon, Rings of Power, Wheel of Time. Did The Boys come out yearly? I feel like that there was a
It's
big gap between the last
it's
season.
been the boys have been coming out faster than the other ones we
Have they?
mentioned for sure. I
But
don't know about yearly, but they're definitely faster than any of the other
yeah,
ones we've talked about.
Yeah.
Stranger Things.
Oh,
Stranger Things, yeah.
Yeah,
Oof.
that one is just
Anyway,
yeah, yeah.
if
The
you know stuff
kids.
about production that we don't know, clearly we don't know, but I mean, yeah, there's reasons, but they seem like reasons that could be overcome. So why not do it? The good thing is that was pointed out to us in Discord amidst our doom and gloom is that not a Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which is the
Yes.
Duncan Egg stories, is coming out next year. So thank you HBO for doing that,
yeah.
and we'll definitely do reviews of that. And I have not even read that book,
Me neither. I'm
so
so
that'll be fun
stoked.
to read that and to follow that story.
I'm so excited for that.
Nice.
Okay, well, now that we're done with these episodes, I guess we're gonna have to get back to actually reviewing books. We'll hit you with some of those reviews coming soon, but we will at some point do a like full season breakdown, maybe some spoilers. We'll try to get Hayden on. Josh, if you want to read the book and get on that, like you're certainly welcome, but we'll otherwise we'll leave you in the dark.
I need to because I also don't want to I don't want to get spoiled if I watch like if I do read Night of the Seven Kingdoms and spoil something in there. That seems like it would be,
Yeah.
you know.
Honestly, like the history of the world is reflected upon at times in
Yeah.
George R. R. Martin's other books. So I don't know for certain, but I feel like there's a decent chance that like the culmination of the story is just like randomly told to Bran by some maester in one of the books or something, you
I'm
know?
pretty sure it was spoiled. I they started talking about it and Hayden we were what it was when we were rewatching season 1, I think, or season 2, and Hayden was like, "Oh, we want to skip this part so you don't get House of the Dragon spoiled." And I
Oh,
fast
okay.
forwarded it for through
Interesting.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
All right. If you like what we're doing, or if you want to chat with us more, you can join our Discord. Links are below in the episode description. And until next time, see you guys later.
so yeah.
Yeah.